Okay, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about the Texas endurance runs that I did this weekend. Texas endurance runs, originally it was called the RAC races or whatever, but they started, I think this was the 10th or 11th anniversary. Originally, a good friend of mine, Kay Scott Layton, put on these races, and they were a small run, small loop in the summer, going through a local park, and we'd go by her house every day. It was basically a fat ass type event. No prize money, no entry fee, but it has grown, and she now has it as an official event. It is held at the Colson's Frog Camp, which is a private property out along the border of Saginaw and Fort Worth, Texas. In the past, we've done about 1.25 mile loop. They made us change the course this year. There was a road section that she could no longer get figured out who was supposed to permit it to allow us to run on it. So we pretty well just ran on the Frog Camp property. So it was mostly all grass and gravel, one tiny little piece of road, but very short, but pretty pleasant, fairly flat. Good day for it. We've been having over 100-degree days here every day. We had a little break in the weather on Friday, and the weather only got up to, I think, the mid-90s, 95, 96, something like that. And we started at 6 p.m., so it was probably real close to that. This event has a 48-hour race that goes from 6 p.m. on Friday to 6 p.m. on Sunday, and then a 24-hour race that goes 6 p.m. on Friday to 6 p.m. on Saturday, and another 24-hour race that goes 6 p.m. on Saturday to 6 p.m. on Sunday. They also, this year for the first time, had a ruck race that was 6 hours long, and what they called a 6-hour sprint or something it's on Sunday for 6 hours. I chose to do the 24-hour event that started on Friday night. I really did not plan to do it this year, but I really wanted to get in a longer training run, getting ready for a race for the ages in September. And it turned out I wasn't scheduled to work this weekend, so I decided to go do it. So I went on Friday night instead of Saturday, mostly because there were going to be more of my friends there, and I wanted to have time to socialize. I went in without any big goals. I wasn't trying to hit any huge, be competitive or have any big goals, and I knew I haven't been in great shape to do a whole lot of running. I'm also going to this real low-carb diet, which has left me a little lower on energy. I'm getting more used to it, but running has not been at the top. I've been walking a lot, and I went into it with a goal of doing 30 or 40 miles and just go. I wanted to start at 6 p.m. I wanted to go mostly overnight to get used to that and see how it goes. I haven't done an overnight run in quite a while, so it was good training in that way. Wrath Racing puts on several fixed time races, all in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They're probably like the premier one if you want to do a fixed time race in Dallas-Fort Worth. They do these Texas endurance runs in the summer. They do Perpetual Motion is probably their big one. It's a 6, 12, or 24 hour the first weekend in December. And then they put on the Hula Loop races that I do in the fall, which are 5 different weekends doing 6-hour races. So it's a cool little series. But anyway, I've done it for years. Anyway, I went into this just hoping to get my 30 or 40 miles. It was going to be in the mid-90s, so I decided that I was just going to walk until it got dark and then probably start interspersing running some. I did walk until dark, but then I had trouble getting myself to start running again. So I really walked the first 26 miles, and then I started interspersing, splitting up the loop into running and walking for the next 10 miles. I went into the race, my shoes of choice were the Mountain to Coast H1, which are a road trail type, small grip, but really good for this course. I'll show the course now. I went through it one time. Anyway, so I ran in the Mountain to Coast H1, and what was really surprising to me is looking down at other people's shoes. Mountain to Coast has only been around a couple of years, but I would say a third or more of the field had Mountain to Coast H1s on. And there were a few that were wearing the C1s, which are basically the road shoe but higher cushion. But I was amazed how many Mountain to Coast shoes were out there. But they worked well. They were good shoes. I wore my Patagonia hoodie. My favorite one, now this one isn't the Total Sun hoodie with quite as much sun protection, but this is the Capilene Cool Ultra. It keeps it a little cooler, and it only weighs like 3 point something ounces. So it's really very lightweight, breathes well. And my intention was just to wear that till dark and then switch to a short sleeve shirt, but I was still comfortable in it, so I just kept it on the whole time. I ran I had Path Project shorts, which have always worked really well for me. Now they come without a liner, so I also wore underwear. I like using the ones that some of the shorts that don't have liners, because then I use either my underwear, which I think breathe well and don't have seams, or I've had a good pair of running underwear that are from Kraft and some from T8, which are excellent. So I ran in those. I had my Injinji toe socks. And most of the day I was had my UltraSpire little waist belt that held a bottle of water, or I'd do a handheld, which I have one from Amphipod that worked really well. So I said I was mostly walking. When it got dark, I did put on my UltraSpire waist lamp. It pretty well lasted all night. Now it was dying toward the end, but I didn't even check the battery before I took off. So I was fortunate it lasted all night. I did have a headlamp with me in case I needed it, but I never really needed it. About the time that was dying, the sun came out. I did run into a little problem that stopped me running in the Mountain to Coast. Not the Mountain to Coast shoes fault at all, but probably, what was it, around 11:30, I started feeling some pain in my heel. I felt like I had a rock in my shoe. I stopped, I think it was after mile 16, and dumped it out. There was one little bitty rock, but that was it. So I put back on the shoe and took off and thought I'd be okay. Well, my foot was still hurting. The bottom of my foot, just in the center of the heel. And I stopped after the next loop and tried to dump the shoes out. There was nothing in them. And then my sock had 2 big holes in it now. Anyway, so there were big holes in the bottom of my Injinji socks, and they're usually pretty tough and don't get holes easily. So it was dark, so I really couldn't assess the situation real well or look to see if there was something stuck in my shoe, or I know there wasn't anything in my sock. I checked that. So I just decided I had a change of shoes and a change of socks there. I put on a fresh pair of Injinji socks, and then I had brought as a backup my Topo Ultraventure 4s. These are some of the most versatile shoes I've ever owned. They're not quite as bouncy as the Mountain Coast H1, and they weigh just a little bit more, but these things are so versatile and they always work for me. They've got the nice wide Topo toe box. They fit really well. Anyway, I threw these on with a fresh pair of socks and my pain went away. So I really ran probably the last 24, 25 miles in the Topo Ultraventures. They have come out with a new Ultraventure 5 now. I'm happy they haven't made major changes. They said the foam is a little bit softer and bouncier. They went to having the more universal gaiter on the back, gaiter attachment on the back that's Velcro. And they say that they've rockered it just a little bit more. I don't think any of those changes will be negative for me. I don't plan to replace mine real soon. I have over 250 miles on my Ultraventure 4s, but they're still in excellent shape. So anyway, so I made those stops, fixed it up, continued on. Like I said, I got to about mile 36, and it was starting to cool down a little bit overnight. We never got below 80, I don't think, but there was a little breeze that started, and it started feeling pretty good. And with my hoodie, it was getting a little sense of my sweat. The wind was cooling me down a little bit. I started running a bit. So I was running sections of the course and walking sections of the course from mile 26 to mile 36. Then around there, I started feeling tired. I'm not used to staying up all night. So the last 4 loops, I think I just walked. We were told originally that the course was 1 mile. They actually measured it with the wheel during the route. It ended up being 1.036. But I got in my head that I wanted to finish 40 loops. So I just kept walking until I got to 40 loops, which ended up being officially like 41.44 miles. You'll see when I show my Garmin data, it's going to show a little bit less than that. It's just because I forgot to start my watch the first loop. So I missed out on the first 1.04 miles or whatever. So anyway, it was a good time. I'm happy that I did what I did. I do have some things to work on for my race in September. Hopefully I'll get a little bit more adjusted to this low carb diet, or maybe figure out a way to adjust my eating a little bit to have a little more energy. And I may not want to stay up all night just because it messes me up so much. I have a 9 p.m. start, so I'm definitely going to run some at night, the first night at a Race for the Ages. Anyway, out of the 54 runners in my Friday night 24-hour, there were 28 males. I finished 14th out of the males, and out of 54 total runners, I ended up 23rd. So I'm happy finishing in the middle of the pack when I'm not really moving real fast. And anyway, I'm filming this on Sunday afternoon, and some of the 48-hour people are still going. Like there were like 54 in the Friday night 24-hour run. There were only 14, I think, in the Saturday night. There were 30 people doing the 48-hour race. And then I don't really know how many were doing the ruck or the 6-hour sprint. I really don't know. But anyway, it was a fun event, well supported. Kay, who had just finished, the race director who had just finished Labs, the last annual Vol State, the week prior, and staying up a lot doing that race across Tennessee, was there volunteering. It's amazing. She amazes me with her energy. She was out there at the start, throughout the race. She was out at 3:30 in the morning replenishing the porta potties with toilet paper. And then she stopped me just after 4 saying, "Oh, I'm starting the coffee for breakfast." Anyway, so I quit about 7:30 in the morning, drove home, really pleasurable experience. Good race if you want to think about it in the future. Those are my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the video, please consider hitting the thumbs up, the like button. If you're interested in any more of my content, please consider subscribing to my channel. And other than that, I hope you're having a wonderful day. And keep moving.